So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, health insurance is a fascinating area because it's about our health. And that, of course, is the basis for everything. If you're not healthy, then, well, whatever happens. So let's start our panel discussion. And I would like to start with Murad. We talked about digital and digitalization. So my question to you is, what role do you believe that digital optimization can play in creating a more satisfactory outcome for policyholders?
Yes. Okay. First of all, I want to greet everyone. That's a quite interesting question because already our peer speakers touched this topic. And I would say that digitalization or digital optimization was hottest topic for last, let's say, 20, 30 years for every industry, especially who operates in B2C sector. And I know that today AI is much hotter topic, but it is still very important issue because for insurance companies, it's kind of, I know that on global level, they struggle with this issue. It might be because of the nature of the business or their IT legacy systems, or maybe it's because of the legal implication in different countries. And that's why I would say that it's quite interesting because right now, especially with the generation Z, or I don't know, even the alpha, right now there is a huge demand in digital solutions from other industries. And that's the question that the satisfactory outcomes. It's actually right now having good digital solutions creates a competitive advantage, or let's say gives you a satisfactory outcome if you have them. But a few years later, lacking good digital solutions will create dissatisfaction in the customers. So I believe it's an evolutionary process. And let's say, if you are not going to adopt this process, you are probably be out of the game. And I would like to further continue with I believe that digital optimization comes from the two areas. One is the digitization of health services, as we have already talked, the devices, the health technological advancement in the health services, healthcare services, and another one from the insurance services itself. And the combined together, this creates great opportunities for us because right now we have so much data about the health status of our customers that we didn't have before. We track our own records, we can integrate with the government records, government database, and even we can benefit from the smart devices like already presented, or wearable devices, smartwatch, fitness tracks, etc. So there's a huge amount of data that we can benefit from, and especially this creates good opportunity for us to implement good new underwriting principles, practices, to create suitable, tailored solutions for our customers. And also right now, there is lots of distribution channels for us to get in touch with our customers, digital or half digital, semi-digital, end-to-end digital. And also customers can choose when and how to be contacted, because as you know, the health insurance is the product of insurance that with higher rate of the frequencies. So we get in touch with our customers more frequently than other insurance, let's say, products or the classes. And especially, I would say that right now we have already seen about the issue, the wellness and the preventive care, because right now there's availability of several wellness health programs, mobile applications, subscriptions. So those things made these things available. Right now, people can track their health status. They are more informed about their health. And as you know, right now, the non-communicable diseases are one of the most important factors of the death among the population, as you have already said, for example, Alzheimer, dementia, or the heart issues, etc. These kind of things can be prevented or delayed with the preventive care, and this digitalization gives us some opportunities, some tools to integrate with our plans, with our products, so we can prevent future severe cases in this case. And talking about the other part, which is much more, it's about the claims, health claims. So I would say in Azerbaijan, it's not the case, the reimbursement, because in our country, we must implement the pre-authorized claim handling process, but we still implement such kind of tools. For example, at PASHA Insurance, we accept, let's say, the request of our customers for the claim through the mobile application and website. And right now, it's around the 10%, sometimes higher or lower, but it's around the 10% of our claims. And it was almost 1 or 2% a few years ago. So especially after the pandemics, we see that there's a trend growing up towards there, and especially the generational shift. We see that most of younger population likes to contact with insurance companies via digital channels. They don't really look for direct, let's say, connection, phone calls, etc. They mostly prefer digital channels. So I believe that's all together drives us to, and as I said before, having a good digital solution right now is important to gain a competitive advantage. But a few years later, lacking them will cause the dissatisfaction of customers. So we need to take this into consideration.
Very interesting. You certainly believe in digitalization. That's clear. But you were mentioning policyholders.
Yes.
Ultimately, we work for policyholders.
Yes.
And are you not over judging the competencies of the older part of the population to deal with these services?
That's true.
Because sometimes I have the feeling people think that all policyholders are 25 years old, using their mobile phones in their sleep, whenever they make any move. But it's a part of the population that is not used to that. Are we not forgetting them?
Yes, that's a good question. Yes. So actually, it's very interesting fact. For example, in England, there is a higher number of people who purchase their policy in digital, but in other parts of Europe, it's lower on the risk. I believe it's kind of issues that needs to be inspected from the perspective of behavioral sociology, because it's about the culture and it's about the culture differences. And I would say that, for example, Azerbaijan, our people are technology positives. They are readily adoptive technology, and even the older generations, we see that we have very huge number of people using social media, smartphones. We have almost 90% internet penetrations, etc. So yes, I agree with your point that not all part of the population is ready to adapt this kind of things. But as I said, there's a generational shift towards there, and and especially, as you know, the Generation Z now becomes wealth keepers. A few later, they will be the people higher net worth, net assets. So we need to understand their needs, but I don't think that we can easily cut all traditional techniques to get in touch with our customers, but it will be diminished by the time, I believe.
Okay, yes, there's certainly a culture issue that explains why things are different between countries. But there is another issue I wanted to ask you about data protection, because obviously digital, you get all my data in your computer, and you'll be hacked by some strange bird or whatever you call it. All my data are tomorrow on the street. How do you protect yourselves against that at PASHA?
Yes, we at PASHA Insurance we have a very strong information security and overall information governance compliance settings. So it's really tight, and even the legal framework for us requires several things us wanted like storing the data in Azerbaijan, etc. So there is a several steps of protection that keeps us makes us good at protecting our clients' data. But I agree with you on that point that it's a kind of sensitive issue, especially we are talking about the health data of the people. So it's really sensitive. So it's and this was the point, as I said at the first beginning of that my speech, like the legal implications, mostly blocking or slowing down the digital transformation is one of these issues, that the managing of this type of data, especially the health data, because it's really sensitive for the governments. And there are, for example, the GDPR on the global level, for example, or local frameworks helps, I believe, to make this possible. But with every technological advancement, I believe there will be some risk coming with that advancement.
Yes, thank you very much. It's very important that something that we learned after COVID or during COVID, that digital resilience is very important, particularly in health insurance or the insurance industry, because it's all about the protection of sensitive data of the population. So let's move on to Gasim. You have at A Group Insurance Company, you have developed a special medical care system. And I want to know what that is.
Thank you for your questions. I would like to say something about A Group Insurance Company. Insurance company adopted and evolved its medical offers to address new realities and challenges faced by individuals and businesses after COVID-19 pandemic. We have expanded our telemedicine services so policyholders can have medical consultation and follow-ups from home. And we have developed digital health platforms like mobile apps and web portals where users can book appointments, access medical records, and get healthcare advice online.
So you are an insurance company?
Insurance company is A Group medical insurance company.
And so you allow your customers to get in touch with you in a digital manner. And what exactly are you doing?
Exactly, we have a part of the digital part of the medical insurance, such as health, let us say telemedicine services.
Okay, and are you linked up with hospitals and doctors and other?
We may provide, we have two types of the medical providers. It's semi-government medical providers and private providers. And our telemedicine services may access from our policyholders between doctors in that our providers and policyholders.
Okay, so you make the interaction possible.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. Melda, you started out this morning with a very interesting presentation showing how things are evolving in the area of health and health insurance. The question is, of course, that with an aging population, and you show that clearly, we're all getting older. That's dreadful for the insurers, but good for us. What measures should be taken to make the health insurance system sustainable in the long term?
Thank you for the question. This is a very hot topic in Turkey's agenda, frankly speaking. It's even the part of the reform, health reform of our government. The fact is we are using the age curve for our tariffication, and young people pay less, and as you get older, you pay more. This is based on frequency and by severity, by experience, by claim experience, obviously. But of course, it's not sustainable. We are also depending on the risk appetite of each company. The entry limitation for age limitation, it is about around 60, 65, depending on the company again. It can go up to 67 if it's not a HMO setup. So this is a problem for the elder generation. So what we are currently discussing in our country, in our sector, together with the regulation and supervision bodies and the association, to make it affordable for every party. Of course, young people should not pay for the old people. So this product should be reachable for everyone. There are ideas and there are, of course, obstacles. In Turkey, the biggest challenge is the medical inflation. Inflation is very high since last 3 to 4 years, but even the medical inflation is much more higher than the market inflation. It is the highest one. I was part of another forum a few weeks ago. It is the highest in Europe, all over Europe, even including US, Canada, around 90s. So we have a reference table for all our services, but unfortunately the change on those prices is not even annual. It is twice a year. So this is the biggest challenge for an insurance professional, because the main thing is the predictability and where you have to foresee your cost. This is another challenge we have to tackle with, apart from the old generation. What we are discussing, one of the option might be a combined policy, like private pension schemes. You can invest to your health fund. But of course, this means on younger age, you have to pay more for your later stage. This is something we are discussing currently, but again, there are challenges, the change of technology, the network changes, their appetite changes, those kind of stuff we have to consider, but we are working. It's again, very hot topic in Turkey, because I talked about 6 million people. We are talking about 80 million people. And this number will go up to 100 million very soon. So 6 million penetration is very limited. We have to consider the cost for the government as well. So we are doing our best to expand our coverage.
Yes, you did actually mention in your presentation one of the best mechanisms, which is preventive care.
That's right.
And of course, preventive care means that the likelihood that people will get sick and so will diminish. So but that will only work in the medium to long term, not in the short term. Mm-hmm. But on that preventive care issue, there is an element which creates a lot of worries in the regulatory space today. Mm-hmm. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, insurance is based on pooling of risks. Mm-hmm. You said the young people should not be paying for the old people. Well, in insurance, of course, all of us pay for the risks of us all. And there is now the possibility with artificial intelligence that insurers will use your beautiful system of preventive care. So you wear a watch which tells you were drinking last night, or you were something else, or eating too much fat or whatever. So you get punished on your premium, on your health insurance premium. You get some can have a system of dots, you know, you have 50 dots, and every time you sin against what you should pull, you lose dots until then you get a price level and it hits the sky.
Mhm.
Now, you would, as the insurer, say the people who are drinking and eating and enjoying life, they should pay more. So, because they are bad risk from. So the people who are behaving strictly, they go and do their fitness every day. They don't drink water, they have to drink. They don't eat or just the necessary things. These people should pay less. So you would do away with this fundamental principle of pooling. That is a big fear. And you as an actuary, I'm sure you know what I mean. What do you think?
Yeah, insurance is based on pooling, but on the health side, health is for everyone, your biggest asset, right? You have to pool it for yourself. This is maybe what we should be discussing. As I mentioned, it's like a private scheme. You have to invest for your own health, so you do your own pooling. It's again, insurance business is on merit basis. I talked about incentives. If you walk 10,000 steps per day, you get a discount on your premium. Isn't it fair? If you don't invest on your health, of course, you get sick more. You won't have a healthy life, so you would have to pay for that cost. This is how the system actually works. But what we have to do is to incentivize those people to invest more on their health.
Yes, but you start from the premise that everybody is rational and behave rationally. Now, behavioral economics will show you that the perfect homo economicus does not exist.
That's right, yeah.
So as an
Nothing is
actuary, of
perfect.
course, you work with data, hard data.
Exactly.
And you presume that we are all homo economici, but we are not like that.
We do offer them incentives. That's why you steer people if they are not concerned with their home economy. So you can incentivize them with clever tools. This is how it works. You have to consider what is right for their health. It's a partnership again. It's not only an insurance business, but it's a partnership. Healthcare system on its own. We should not be talking in the future maybe about insurance, but a partnership. So if they do not care enough, we have to incentivize to steer them to the right direction.
Good. And how do you see then the role of the state? Because the state is always there to pick up the ultimate damage, the ultimate risk. How do you see in Turkey this relation between social security, as we call it, where the state will pay, and the private element where we should all behave rationally and based on incentives, which may be financial or otherwise. How do you see this relationship in Turkey?
What we're expecting, what we're discussing or suggesting to the states more, they have to incentivize on the tax side, for example. This is an element. There's a tax exemption for private and for health as well, for life event. So this should continue. For the elderly people, what we are suggesting, of course, for some catastrophic risk, they should be also in the game. Because in pandemic, for example, in our country, in many countries, the pandemic was not covered, or most of the time was silent. But we have, as the market, we're not silent. We have offered this cover, even if it's silent. So state also supported this crisis, but for the future, since the technology will change, there might be some drastic changes again. On the catastrophe side, I think states should contribute and should continue to contribute more.
Yeah. Another element that we haven't yet talked about is the control of the costs of the health system itself.
Right.
There's a tendency in certain markets whereby insurance companies are buying hospitals or starting to employ
Polyclinics,
medical
yes.
doctors,
That's right.
elderly homes, etc. Is that a trend that you also see in Turkey?
Bupa Acıbadem, they are
Bupa,
investing
yes.
on dental polyclinics, but it's another, they are working with polyclinics, dental clinics all around the world. So they are doing the same thing in Turkey, but I don't think there are very more insurance companies interested to buy hospitals. But what we are discussing with the hospitals, we should align and agree on a system, on a solid, sustainable system about the increases of their services. Again, for predictability is important. We have to foresee the annual cost of the services, but it's not happening. We, in the association, we did a work group. We set up a work group, and we will be discussing very soon with the hospitals about agreed standard, how to price, how to reflect the cost to the premiums.
This is, of course, again, a very important element in the health insurance value change, because if you look at hospitals, where do hospitals make their money? They make their money primarily in tests. Now, if we're using the AXA scheme, the test will be done by the machine. So the hospitals will lose their major part of their income. What will they do? Well, they will then charge for surgery 5 times or 10 times more. Otherwise, we'll all go bankrupt. Is this something that you also have been thinking about in Turkey?
In Turkey, the reachability, the access to the healthcare is very high. And the problem is, as you said, the lab test screening. Turkey is the world leader on MR screening and BT screening.
Very expensive.
It's the world leader. Skyrocket numbers. It's unbelievable. We have half of the machines, considering the stock of the world, but the screening numbers is unbelievable. Of course, very costly. So those things should also change. We are discussing, of course, it's an ongoing effort, but we'll see how the things will develop.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this is a very important area which concerns all of us. So there must be some questions in the audience on topics that we haven't yet covered on health insurance. I have the lights in front of me.
There is no question yet. I can add one.
Yes, please, yes.
So talking about the risk evaluation of the human, I would say that the real problem with the health insurance that it's really hard to differentiate the physical hazards and moral hazards when we are talking about the people. For example, when we are talking about the automobile auto insurance, right? There is a physical hazards and moral hazards which we are, let's say, evaluating the risks associated to the driver's attitude, right? But in health insurance, the subject and object is the same. So it is our body and how we live with this body makes the difference. And the second problem that comes to here and creates the uncertainty is that we still don't know exactly how the certain actions will affect the person's health and their lifespan. Because there's a genetic factor, environmental factors, and we can incentivize people to be more healthy, but being healthy is not well defined yet. So there is a still gray zones, like, because nutrition science and let's say even the medicine itself, it's not yet in the states that we can be sure about the certain, like this We are sure about certain things, but about incentivizing the customers on certain things, we are not sure, because walking long distance might be good for some people, and it might be bad for some people also. So, or eating or drinking something, etc. So there's also some other factors, like even the cultural things affect the people's health, like the climate they're living in. So it's really hard to evaluate this risk and come up with a risk framework, like what are we going to incentivize, and are we sure about that we are incentivizing the good things when we are doing that? So it's kind of issue that needs to be addressed.
I think that's a great comment, because it comes back to the very principle of insurance, the risk.
Yeah.
How do we define a risk? And it's a very good point, because I'm sure you all faced once in a while, you get these publications in magazines that say, you shouldn't put too much salt on your food because salt is not good for you. And then a month later, some doctor comes up with this, oh, you should use a lot of salt because salt is good for this and that. And then it's about butter. Oh, no, you can't use butter. You should only use vegetable fat and not, from dairy products. And then another doctor comes and says, oh, this butter is the best thing, you can eat. So you're very true, very right that the definition of risks and of the parameters for the ideal health insurance system is not so evident. And that's great, of course. If everything were clear, life would be boring. So that's the nice thing about insurance, that the things change, risks change. We learn every day, and it makes it fantastic. Even for actuaries, you have to do recalculation.
Yeah, but let's start with the easy ones. Walking, being active is good for everyone. This is something not open to discussion. And
are you sure? Is it 10,000 steps or 9,000 or
okay.
8,000 or 6,000?
Let's start with the baby steps, okay?
Baby steps.
Half an hour per day should
an hour a day
shouldn't do any harm, right?
Yeah, but who has the time to walk for 1 hour every day?
You can be active. This is the idea. And
Yeah.
obesity, diabetes is the world's problem.
I know.
So yeah, you should try. We all should try, do our best to start from somewhere. Of course, some days the butter is good for health. Coffee is good for metabolism, and the other day it changes. But there are some basics we can rely with. So it would be a good start.
Okay, that's the optimist.
Yes, I am the optimist.
Yes, very good. I like optimists, because otherwise, whatever remains. So, ladies and gentlemen, any other question?
Just a comment. If they are reducing the premium with 50%, I will walk 1 hour per day. I must have a motivation, and the financial one, it's one of the best.
Okay, so
Gift cards.
do we all agree that if you get 50% off your health insurance premium, you're prepared to walk 10,000 steps a day?
Okay.
Mine it's more than 2,000 per year. Then being 1,000, it's important.
Good. Okay. Well, that's positive. Yes. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. Actually, it's not a question, it's just a comment. I think that I really agree, totally agree with you. Optimism is crucial. Whatever you do, walking, running, or go to the gym, and etc. The optimism and belief that you do it, by doing that, you are getting healthier. And the second, my comment actually related with the question we got previously related with the AI and replacement of our doctors by AI, and etc. I think that the most important thing is that human touch. AI, I believe, cannot replace a doctor, cannot replace a human, because we all know that two doctors with same approach, with same prescription, but could be accepted or not by the patient. And in this case, I think that the human touch is very important and couldn't be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's a very wise comment, because particularly when you're sick, you feel miserable. And miserable with a machine on your head, you feel even more miserable. You want to see a living person in front of you to whom you can tell your misery. And I think that's very important. Now, I also share your view about optimism. And don't question that, I'm an optimist, otherwise I wouldn't be standing here. But the problem is that there is a risk always that we are going to define our future in benchmarks, which are decided by scientists or whatever. And I don't want to see a world whereby, I have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and have my breakfast at 8:30, then do 10,000 steps, and then my life starts. And then before I go to bed, I have to drink 3 liters of water and do things and that. So there is this risk, I'm exaggerating it, but obviously with incentives, we can try to promote a more healthy behavior of us all, always keeping in mind that not all people are rational. And that when we prescribe things which seem to be logical, there's still people are not going to do it. And these people need protection. And if we have an insurance regime that rewards only the well-behaving people, there is a risk that a part of the population will be out because they are not as educated, and it will take a long time and generations before they get to that education level. And insurance is also about the protection of those people who cannot afford a life or a health insurance premium, and they need to be protected by the state or by some other mechanism. So that's the point I wanted to make. The balance is difficult to draw, but I think we discussed some of these elements, and unless there are any other questions in the audience, I think, Daniela, we can close our debate.
Yes, of course. Just a short comment also from my part. I think there will be never indifferent, no matter how much technology advances, there will be never a total replacement through technology of the human factor. In medicine, most doctors are saying there are no two identical patients. The same figures as a result of lab tests may show for one of them who really has a problem, and the other seems perfectly okay. So it's not mathematics, pure mathematics. Probably for many cases which are routine, or in special cases, which means distance and the lack of access to medical services, etc. Yes, there, no doubt. But otherwise, in the end, the doctor, the human, the person is there for you.